In sports, there's always going to be events that fans or maybe even the corporation will set aside and put it at a higher standard because it was so memorable. Some fans can recite an entire sporting event from beginning to end and state every single action that happened in it because of its competitive and iconic nature, along with possible sentimental values. Some other fans could probably only recite a specific moment during the middle of the event that possibly aroused something like controversy in that sporting world. Some other fans could probably only remember the end, as maybe the end of that event has such a suspenseful moment that it trumped everything else that happened in that event before. But there are some other events that kind of get swept away and nobody really remembers whether they're competitive or not competitive. And that's exactly what happened in the 2007 Samsung 500. In the year 2025, we look at Texas Motor Speedway as a joke in the NASCAR world. Multiple boring races and nothing to take out of the race is mainly the norm whenever NASCAR comes to race at Texas Motor Speedway. But that was not the case on April 15, 2007. Race number 7 of the 2007 NASCAR Cup Series season saw Texas Motor Speedway host the 2007 Samsung 500. Fans were looking at this race to be a competitive one. Big name drivers such as Casey Kane were struggling to stay inside the top 35 in owners' points, so he was trying to get in to be able to qualify for all the races. And this looked to be a good race to try to get everyone set for the chase that would happen in a few months' time, even though it was early on in the season. Texas Motor Speedway and all the races it had run in this particular event had not had a single repeat winner, and they looked to keep that tradition going as it looked to have a great race in terms of competition. But unfortunately, in all the Texas races, as I said before, this is one of those few events that kind of got swept away and nobody really remembers. And that's why I'm going to show you that the 2007 Samsung 500 is the most overlooked race at the Texas Motor Speedway. Weather had been a main factor for the event at Texas, altering both the Truck Series race and the Busch Series race that had happened that weekend, along with canceling both the practice and qualifying sessions for the Cup Series event, leading the entire running order at the start of the race to just be the point standings after the previous race at Martinsville, leading Jeff Gordon to get the pole alongside Jeff Burton, who was second in points, 28 points behind him in the standings. Jimmy Johnson was starting in third, and he was coming off his third win in the last 4 races, while Hendrick Motorsports as a whole was looking for its 5th consecutive win as a team. But as they came to the green flag, just like the first ever race at Texas 10 years before, problems would strike early on in the race.
It's like our points leader, Jeff Gordon. He'll get those 5
Trouble already off turn 4.
J.J. Yeley.
David Ragan. More cars to follow.
Chain reaction. Ricky Rudd. Casey Mears.
Oh, Rudd up on top of Reagan's car. What was that about?
Last time I remember a start by points here.
Iceberg, dead ahead.
Wow, who would have thought that just like 10 years before, an opening lap wreck would happen at the same track. While it wasn't on the first turn like it was in 1997, it would come off the end of the 4th turn with J.J. Yeley, David Ragan, Ricky Rudd, and numerous others, with Ragan getting the worst of it. Yeley would be the only one out of the race following lap 1, as he is officially classified only finishing 1 lap in the race, finishing in 43rd. But as they came back to the green flag, Jeff Gordon would take the lead and would go on to have a really strong performance early on in the race. Hendrick Motorsports drivers immediately took off, with Gordon and Johnson leading the way. Jeff Gordon hadn't won a single race at Texas in his career up to this point and was looking to tie Dale Earnhardt in wins at 76, as he had not won this season entering this race. He would lead all the way until lap 45, where another caution would come out for Mike Bliss in the 49 car spinning on the backstretch. But when the green flag waved again, Gordon would completely dominate, leading the next 49 laps until Dale Earnhardt Jr. took the lead, leading a couple laps, as well as Brian Vickers. Throughout this green flag run, another contender emerged, Jeff Burton. He stayed inside the top 5 for the entirety of this run and looked to be a contender to win this race for the remainder of the event, staying with Jeff Gordon. After Brian Vickers and Dale Jr. led a couple laps, the pit cycle happened. Jeff Gordon took back the lead and led for another 52 laps all the way until lap 153, where he also had to deal with a debris caution on lap 117. As Jeff Gordon checked out on the field, it was tough for the lead lap cars because there were almost as many lap cars as there were cars on the lead lap. Elliott Sadler was leading them, trying to get the free pass. Dale Earnhardt Jr. would emerge as another contender as he would pass Jimmie Johnson for second, and he was trying to salvage something after a poor start to the 2007 season. Behind Jr. and Johnson, Jeff Burton took a more conservative approach during this run and fell back to 5th and continued to run inside the top 5. But behind him, Tony Stewart, the last winner at the Texas Motor Speedway, was struggling with the extreme tightness of his cars. He ended up brushing the wall actually at the end of 4 during the middle of the race, but it was good enough for him to continue on without severe damage. By this point, it looked like Jeff Gordon finally had everything figured out. They finally had the dominant car at Texas that they wanted so badly, as he already had led more laps at Texas in this race than all the previous races at Texas that he has run before. But eventually, Dale Jr. was able to reel in Gordon as Gordon started struggling with looseness, and Junior Nation went on their feet as soon as they saw their favorite driver take the lead, as he would lead for around 15 laps. But to Junior, there would be something else that would happen later on, that another contender was moving up through the field after starting in the back, Kyle Busch. He had moved his way all the way up into 6th, but later on in the race that we'll talk about when we get there, these two drivers would be linked in such a weird way that we'll talk about when we get there. Dale Jr. would go on to take the role of Jeff Gordon and dominate, leading every single lap outside of 2 that Reed Sorensen led during the pit cycle, and Jr. would rocket away as Gordon began to fade down to his teammate Jimmie Johnson. They began to have a battle like Martinsville the previous race, where Johnson had prevailed on top as they had a hard duel for second. The only car that was able to stay with those 2 Hendrick cars was the 31 of Jeff Burton, who lagged around 3 car lengths back. But 3 seconds behind Burton was Kurt Busch, who was looking to finally have a good race go his way, as runs such as a Daytona crash and a bad run at Las Vegas after being extremely strong hindered him in the standings, and he was looking to finally have a good finish. And in 6th place was Kyle Busch, who was continuing to march his way up to the front slowly but surely. Eventually, that long green flag run would come to an end on lap 211 as another debris caution would come out. Dale Jr. would lead everyone down pit road, where Jeff Gordon would continue to drop a couple of spots. But when they came back to the green flag, Dale Jr. would continue to lead. Eventually, without knowing, Jimmie Johnson would actually drop a cylinder and fall outside the top 5. He would be battling for the 8th position with Tony Stewart, but in an intense battle, rookie Juan Pablo Montoya, running in 10th, closed in on the 2 and eventually used Johnson as a pick to try to get around Stewart, but eventually got loose heading into turn 3, piling onto Tony Stewart's problems and causing a wreck and ending Johnson's day with a damaged front end.
I was just thinking that you might want to be real careful doing that.
Nowhere for Jimmie Johnson to go with that 48 car.
All good. Tosses out.
I don't think Jimmy hit him. He did a little bit.
Yeah, he got him pretty good.
Sorry about that, Jimmy.
Montoya and Stewart side by side. Stewart goes around and is collected by Johnson.
And of course, what put Jimmy back that far was the fact of being down a cylinder.
But when he gets in here, you watch. Car gets a little bit loose and scoots up the racetrack and gets against Tony, and around he goes. Drove it hard in there, and then the car starts to walk up the hill. A little bit of, you can see his hands in there really working the wheel. Didn't make a lot of contact, but just enough to send him around.
And Tony takes a pretty good hit from Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, but I think it's in an area that it probably isn't going to hurt anything.
After this caution, Dale Jr. would lead them back to the green flag ahead of Kurt Busch and Jeff Burton, among other leaders. But Kurt Busch would light the car up, getting around Dale Jr., who got loose, and would pull away from him to hold the lead, as Tony Stewart would go on to pit road just to add to his list of problems. But when the 20 car came back out on track, he closed in on Kurt Busch, and in a desperate attempt to try to get one of his laps back, he would spin around, and he saved the car, but this spin would ultimately alter two different drivers' careers right in the smokescreen.
Well, and the other part of that, Larry, is how many times has this track been... Whoa, Stewart!
Oh, he's in trouble again. Turn 4 again.
Caution waves.
Oh, and he got Dale Jr. Kyle Busch. Kyle just got into Jr.
That was the second and third place car.
Was being the key word.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, what's torn up on Junior's car doesn't include the spoiler, so if they pull that stuff off, he can race it like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
This place is so dependent on aero.
I think that the 5 ran into the back of the 8. 8 gets slowed down, the 5 doesn't.
No
Holy
kidding.
cow, lifted Junior's car all the way off the ground. Yeah, Junior's car's got a little bit more than cosmetic damage. That's probably got the track.
All the hard work Kyle Busch had done from getting inside the top 25 early on in the race to move inside the top 5 with under 100 laps to go was gone, and to him, he thought that there was nothing he could do, so he left the track after that wreck. And unfortunately for him, the team didn't even know he left the track, and they would continue to repair the car, and Dale Jr. repaired his car, and he kept going. But unknowingly, this would just be the tip of the iceberg for these two drivers together. Kurt Busch would eventually lead them back to the green flag, but as he rocketed away, concerns about fuel mileage came into play, and Jeff Gordon looked to come back into the conversation as he was back up in second. But another contender would emerge soon after Kurt Busch would eventually pit, and Jeff Gordon would take the lead, and that was Matt Kenseth, who had been quietly running around the top 10 for almost the entire day, but seemingly found himself struggling as he kept getting put back down and had to work his way back up again. But running in second, it looked like it could be Kenseth's day as he was looking for his second win of the season after winning at California. Kenseth wouldn't let Gordon go away this time as he would eventually take the lead, but Jeff Burton, who had been running top 5 the entire day, started to move up as he got around Greg Biffle and began to close in on the leaders. But Kenseth's late surge to the lead made him look like a for sure favorite to get this victory. Burton would light his car up at the perfect time, with Kenseth complaining he had a right rear going down and Gordon fading into obscurity. Burton closed the gap within 5 laps and was right on the bumper of Matt Kenseth with just 10 laps remaining. But while they were battling, of course, Dale Jr. and Kyle Busch drama had to spark up again.
Here's one for the, you won't believe this. The 5 car is back on track. After being involved in that crash, the driver is Dale Earnhardt Jr.
That's interesting.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s engine blew on lap 288, and when Kyle Busch's crew finally fixed up their car after that wreck from before with Tony Stewart, they went looking around for Kyle Busch before discovering that he left the track right away, thinking that there was no hope in completing the race. But Jr. was sitting around, and one of the crew members asked him if he could drive the car so that they could try to bag a few more points for Kyle Busch. And Jr. obliged and brought the car back out on track, and although he didn't really finish anywhere like above the 38th position, he would actually enjoy running in that race in the 5 car, stating, "I'll always jump at a chance to climb into someone else's car to see what it's like." They used to do that all the time back in the day. You'd have relief drivers, getting into someone's car almost every week, so it was kind of like a step back into NASCAR history or something. Old school. It was cool. End quote. And eventually, this was just the tip of the iceberg between Junior, Hendrick Motorsports, and Kyle Busch, as eventually both of them would get into an altercation at Kansas later in the year where Junior dumped Kyle Busch, and eventually when Kyle Busch was let go of his contract, they immediately replaced him with Dale Jr., where eventually things wouldn't end up so great Of course, we all know Richmond 2008 as an example.
Get a bite on the bottom of the racetrack. They'll be side by side down the back straightaway.
Ooh, man, that was tight off turn 2. He's got him. I believe he's got him this time. Oh, he turned him.
No!
Oh, he turned him. No!
If you thought about it deeply, this was insane. Former teammates Matt Kenseth and Jeff Burton, with the latter looking for his first win since September 2006 at Dover, where he beat Kenseth, who ran out of gas, to break a 175 race winless streak stretching back to 2001. Jeff Burton got his first career win in the inaugural Texas race, and he was looking to become the first multi-time winner at the facility. And Burton tried multiple times to get around him on the bottom, but he was itching ever so closely. And as they came to the final lap, it looked like he finally had enough to get around the 17. But for Kenseth, it was a deja vu. In the Busch Series race the previous day, he was battling furiously with Denny Hamlin, where he was able to get the win. Would he be able to get 2 wins in a row? Or would Burton muscle around him?
To stay off of Kenseth.
You know, Burton's got to be thinking, how many times am I going to find myself in this position?
Oh, about twice more. That's how many laps to go. Lap and a half. Burton the leader here. Kenseth has the drive off the corner. And at the white flag, it's Kenseth. 1 lap to go.
This is it, boys. Can he do it? Burton on the inside. Kenseth on the outside. Burton.
That's as far as he's been.
He got him. He got him. He got him.
Clear.
He got him off the 2.
From it, buddy. Bring it home.
Bring her home. He got him now. Kenseth got into this up a little too high off a 2.
Be smooth, man. Be smooth. He's going to get a run off. It's all yours. Bring it home.
Jeff Burton comes off the corner. Jeff Burton, the first repeat winner in Texas Motor Speedway. Winning the Samsung 500 after a fierce duel with former teammate Matt Kenseth.
Jeff Burton was able to get his 19th career win by leading the very last lap only to win the 2007 Samsung 500. This race had 7 cautions for 33 laps and 13 lead changes. Jeff Gordon led the most laps at 173, and he finished in 4th. What a race this was, from having a big crash right away in the beginning of the race to having stretched out competition with multiple drivers running great quietly, to having drama that would affect 2 different drivers' careers, especially for the rest of the season, and just a beautiful brawl that went right down to the nitty-gritty between 2 former teammates. For Jeff Burton, he would only score 2 more victories for the rest of his career, both coming in the next season in 2008. But in 2007, although he didn't win again, leading laps wasn't really his thing that year, so he only led 79 on the entire season. But he ended the year with 1 win, 9 top 5s, and 18 top 10s, and made the chase, finishing 8th in points with a 13.8 average finish. So what do big sports events have in common? They usually have controversy, they have drama, multiple contenders falling out of the event for some reason or another, and other things. The 2007 Samsung 500 had all these things. But why don't people seem to remember this? You know, to answer that question, I honestly don't know. Some events just get swept away and people forget them. Maybe because 2007, when everyone thinks of that year, they think of the Daytona 500 finish, or maybe the car of tomorrow coming in for the first time in NASCAR. But this is one of the sporting events that needs to be remembered. The most overlooked race to ever grace Texas Motor Speedway came on April 15, 2007. It was won by Jeff Burton, who led only 1 lap on the day. I hope you like this video. Please like, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.